Well, hey everyone. We are live for a second time, so hopefully you can all see me, and I'm just going to get the show set up again, and hopefully when I add Dave here, hopefully he can hear me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
You got me?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I have you
No, I
working.
can't hear you. Um,
Hello?
oh, you know why? I think my headphones just decided that they didn't want to play again. Well, we can hear Dave. So, hey, if you can hear me, I'm going to get mine working. So, why don't you go ahead and share your brew for the week, and hopefully people can hear you.
Good, I hope so. I can hear you, Chuck, so hopefully people can hear me. My brew of the week is a New Belgium. This beer, it's brewed in Fort Collins, Colorado, and also Asheville, North Carolina. This one is a passion fruit Kolsch. So I had these over the weekend. I had a lot of family over. It was hot out. I have some family that's not big beer drinkers, but if there's a little fruity flavor to it and it's a lighter beer, they like it. So I was drinking some of these this weekend, and it's a good beer, good light summery beer when it's hot outside. Here's the color for it. Nice light beer. Has really good fruit flavor. I'm not real big into a lot of fruity flavored beers, but this one was pretty good. So I may get this one again in the future for hot days.
Well, cool. Well, hopefully you can hear me again.
I can.
All right, cool. So I went with it's a standard. Nope, sorry. Let me turn that around because that's not what it is. I'm just gonna show off Fat Belly's Pub though. Irish Pub. It's an Irish beer. The beer in this glass is over 300 years old. Not actually, but the company that makes it, Smittix, has been brewing beer for over 300 years, and you can usually find this one. Sometimes hard to find, but Bevmo carries it without fail. But it's just their Irish red. They say it's got a gentle hop bitterness and a sweet malty finish. Don't really care about that. It's a good beer. It's only like a 4.5 ABV, so you're not going to you can drink a lot of these and not feel anything. So that's always the good thing too. So cheers. So how was your week?
Week was good. Weekend was busy. I had a lot of family from out of town staying at our house. So many, in fact, that my wife and stepson and I slept in a tent for a few days because we didn't have enough rooms, but it was pretty awesome. It was the first time that me, my parents, and my two older sisters were together all in the same place for about 5 years. So that was wonderful. We were a very close family. So that was my weekend, and I couldn't ask for a better weekend. Already missed my oldest sister, and I think we kind of sold her on it won't take 5 more years for her to get back down here. So just perfect weekend. Couldn't ask for a better weekend.
Yeah, it was definitely a blast. I'm sure if you all watched our hot sauce challenge that we broadcast this weekend, you'll know we were all together. We're all family, and the hot sauce challenge. I'll tell you what, that was certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Your wife, Whitney, she was a trooper, hanging in there.
She's game.
That's awesome. Hey, so why don't you go ahead and give us a recap of what you saw this week? Because it was really a busy week. First weekend of college football. How'd that go?
Yeah, that was good. Started off, I think, as good as it could have, really. It was the Florida Gators, number 8 ranked team going into the season, played against Miami, two legendary, colleges, great football histories behind both of those universities. And Florida won 24-20. So it was a really good game, a battle of Florida. And to start off the season, I think that was really good. Then the other game that happened Thursday night was Hawaii beat Arizona 45-38, which just kills my heart because I'll never call it the Pac-12. Utah, Colorado. I'm sorry if you're fans of those teams. I grew up with the Pac-12. I'm always going to call it the Pac-12, even though it's or Pac-10, even though it's Pac-12. And Kevin Summerlin, it's your second year at Arizona. You got to do better, man. You came from Texas A&M where you're like 52-16 over 6 years or something like that. You got to do better, man. We can't be losing to Hawaii. Okay, Pac-12 teams can't be losing to teams like Hawaii, especially to kick the season off. Just breaks my heart, makes me feel bad for the Pac-12 and kind of where it is from where it has been. So the day started off good with that Florida-Miami game, and then it ended a little sad with that Arizona-Hawaii game. So, but, it was overall, I'm just glad college football is back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend as well. We finally, we finally get some game time, which we'll talk about. I mean, get our first game underway, the Big O. So, what else is going on? Some golf?
Yeah, so the PGA Championship happened. So we found out who the champion is for men's golf, and it was Rory McIlroy. He won by 3 strokes over Xander Schauffele and Brooks Koepka.
Never heard of that guy.
A good shot. Real good player all for the last few years. He had a chance, but Rory just kind of took off on Sunday and won the championship. I believe it's his 3rd championship for this format. And I think only Tiger Woods has 3 championships since they switched to this format of point system where basically at the end of the year, all your points add up. It's kind of like NASCAR. You have to have so many points at the end of the year to get to the last race. 30 golfers get to the last tournament, and it's basically winner take all. And then the way they do it is when you're ranked and you get into that final tournament. I think it was Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas, one of those guys. They start you out ahead. So if you're the number 1 ranked player, you're already at -2 or -4 or however they figure out how far ahead you are based on points. They give you shots in the last tournament to work off of. So you start with a lead. So, 30's got to really work their way up in this tournament to be the champion. So that's kind of cool. I mean, everyone has a chance, out of the group of 30, but those guys at the top definitely have an edge. And so it was Rory McIlroy. So Rory McIlroy is your PGA champion this year.
Yeah, a little something I actually did watch a little bit. Really just watching highlights on that they put on YouTube. But the Little League World Series finally over. Not finally. I mean, that's a great series because you know why? They get after it. I mean, from the time season ends, do you get through districts, sectionals, regionals, and you get to the tournament? It's a quick moving tournament, and these kids just play a lot of ball in a short amount of time, and I like it. I mean, because it's just with how our brains work and having the short attention span, it's just nice that these tournaments just fly by, and these kids are just playing a ton of games quickly.
Yeah, I didn't unfortunately get to see it. Most years I get to see the championship game. I was busy with family, so I didn't get to see it. I read a bit about it after it was over. Found out that the starting pitcher, so that the winning team is from a suburb of Louisiana, Rivers Ridge, and so they won 8-0 against Caraco this weekend. The starting pitcher for the Louisiana team pitched a complete game, had two hits allowed, 2 walks, and then he had 6 Ks. So if you're not familiar with the Little League format, they play 6 innings. So if he had 6 Ks, let's do 6 times 3. So basic math, right? There's 18 outs in a game. So he had six strikeouts. So that was a third of the outs. That means he had some pretty good defense behind him if he only gave up 2 hits.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that was a fun game to watch. I might go back and watch the replay just to see that defense, to see those kids behind him, get those other outs, those 12 outs, But yeah, 8-0, US won. So that's great. I know some years the international teams have done really well and they've won several times. So it's good to see the US bring a championship back to Little League Baseball, and congratulations to those kids and from Rivers Ridge in Louisiana.
Yeah, and Caraco, the team they beat, they actually went on and won the international Little League World Series and beat Japan 5-4. These kids were no joke. And watching the highlights, they got some big kids. They got some hard hitters. They really worked the line. I don't know how if you can actually teach. I mean, I've managed Little League. I'm sure they have they're training them a lot differently than when I was managing, but they found the line a lot and getting extra bases. I have a clip in my plays of the week from Caraco when they were playing Venezuela that we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, these kids went on to beat Japan, but now they beat Japan. They were up 5-2 and in the last inning, and Japan was able to score 2 runs, and they had the tying run on third. And the batter for Japan just had a little slap shot in the left center field, and the left fielders ran across and caught the ball on the run and for the last out, and they, so they won the Little League, the international World Series. But yeah, good job to East Bank, Louisiana. I'm glad you know where it's at.
Rivers Ridge, suburb of New Orleans, I guess. And there was a couple records that got set by that Louisiana team too. A couple of their players. Couple of the batters, Reese Roussel, he had 17 hits over the whole tournament in Williamsport, and that was a new record, Little League World Series record for most hits in a Little League World Series by an individual. And then Marshall Loke had 7 doubles, and he has the doubles record now for Little League World Series over the course of a tournament. So not only did they win the championship, they had a couple kids set a couple records.
Yeah, it's something they'll remember forever.
Yeah, for sure.
How about some of the big 3 playoffs this weekend?
Ooh,
I know you're excited.
I recorded those. I watched those at night while my lovely wife was sleeping. I put some headphones in and watched the replays of those games I recorded. So yeah, big weekend. There was 2 games. So 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Both the favorites won. So the first game was the number 2 ranked Killer Bees against the number 3 ranked Power team, and the Killer Bees won at 50-42. It was a really good game. Steven Jackson, who you might remember, he played for some teams in the NBA. He's also on ESPN. He commentates on some of the morning shows. He had a really good game. This is his 3rd season in the Big 3, and this is his first year of making the playoffs. And so not only did he make the playoffs, now he made the championship game. Corey Maggette and Power are the defending champions from last year, so they're knocked out. They'll be playing next week for the 3rd place game. See who wins 3rd place. So the Killer Bees made it on, and they will be playing against the Triplets, who has Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson's a former NBA All-Star, played a lot of good years for the Hawks. And he had a great game. He had almost half, if not more than half, of his team's points. They played the 3-headed monsters that has Maurice Evans, Rashard Lewis, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, Mario Chalmers. But Triplets won 50-52-39. So kind of smoked them. Joe Johnson has dominated this league this year in his first year. Dominated so much, he has a tryout with the Philadelphia 76ers. So they're saying,
really,
not have to retire anymore. And there's maybe a couple other teams that are in the mix. New Orleans Pelicans, they look like they might try him out. So they're saying, Joe, you might still have enough game left to at least come off the bench, be a good outside shooter. He led the Big 3 in points and assists this year. So he just kind of dominated. And so I think it'll be really hard for the Killer Threes to kind of beat them. He's teamed up with Al Jefferson, and that pick and roll 1-2 punch of a big and him outside is just kind of killer in this league. So it should be fun to watch it. Championships this weekend, and I'll tell you when and more about that when we get to what to watch at the end of the show. But yeah, big weekend. It was really fun to watch.
So sounds exciting. What else? I think probably everyone would be exciting because everyone might want to see it. Should the Yankees and the Dodgers just be put into the World Series? Is that the series that everyone wants to see?
Around here, yeah. Around here, they definitely do in Southern California. But after this weekend, I don't know if they want to see it. because they didn't get a very good preview. So the first game, the Yankees completely dominated the Dodgers in a 3-game series this weekend. And the second game, the Dodgers squeaked out a close one in a low-run game, 2-1. And then the Yankees kind of beat up on them on the third game. So in the 3-game series, the Dodgers only scored 5 runs. So they did not – I mean, this is a power-hitting team. They score runs all year. Against the best team in baseball, they couldn't do it. 5 runs in 3 games. And I think, the Yankees had 16 runs in 3 games. So 3-game series, it was 16-5 Yankees. That's not a good showing. And, I think that would maybe give some of these other National League teams a little confidence that, hey, let's look at what the Yankees did to the Dodgers, and maybe this is how we get them in the playoffs, So right now, I'd say Yankees are on their way, and then Houston, I think, is right kind of behind them in the American League. But, man, the Dodgers didn't show very well in this 3-game series.
Yeah, I was looking today, and the Yankees are only now 1 game behind them for total wins, for the entire MLB. I think they're still in third. I forgot who was in second. But there's only a 1 game. There's only a 1 game. Or the Dodgers only have a 1-game lead now, and the top team gets home field. So
that's decided at the All-Star game.
I was reading today that the best record in the league has home field.
Oh, it was. They were doing it by the All-Star game winner. The American League or National League team won. Maybe they switched it this year because everyone was kind of not happy about that when they did it, because you play every guy like 1 inning, and so that's kind of a cheap way to give a team a home field advantage for the championship.
Yeah. I'll verify, but I was reading today just on the series and looking at the standings overall, and they had 86 wins. Must have been Houston, and the Yankees are at 85 wins, and so they're in jeopardy of, because really the Yankees, they had a losing streak for a while, and then came back, won the series against the Cardinals, and then got 2-1 with the Dodgers. So they've got momentum going. So let's see if the Dodgers can stop that, keep the momentum. I mean, it's 1 series, but it's a series that you really need at the end of the year.
Yeah. I think just for your confidence. So if you do meet up in the World Series, you kind of have that confidence, that you can, do well against that team, which the Dodgers really struggled this weekend.
So, probably not the breaking news. It's old news now by the time we get to Wednesday, but probably the big news of the week is the youngster, the 29-year-old, 7-year NFL Andrew Luck decided to retire, and I guess rehab just takes its toll on you.
Yeah, well, it's not really a shocker to me that he retired. I mean, 9 years in, you see a lot of these guys now get to 10 years. And they'll start to think about it, where before, I mean, guys would play as long as they could, 15 years, 16 years, basically till the team just said, no, nobody wants you anymore. But now these guys are really realizing that they're seeing all these retired veterans that can't walk very well and have all these physical issues. And I think some of them, when it starts really taking a toll, especially, a quarterback or maybe someone that's fortunate enough to have gotten 2 really big contracts that has $100 million in the bank. Do you want to be crippled, or would you like to get out with your $100 million while you're still 30 and, still relatively healthy, or which he's not? I mean, obviously he's not, or he'd be playing. So how much more of a toll? Plus he's a smart kid. I mean, he went to Stanford. He's a smart guy, and I think he just realizes, hey, I got all this money. I have an opportunity to still be healthy, or healthier than I would be if I kept playing, and I can still do things with my life. I have the money to do whatever I want to do. I'm sure he'll go on, and his second half of his life, he'll do some really great things with that money, and make some wise choices for the rest of his life, because he's seems like a pretty smart guy, smart kid, and obviously he's looking for his own well-being. I didn't look it up. I don't know if he has a family, but you want to be there for your kids and not crippled, and you want to be able to be active dad, not can't get out of bed, Dad. So, I get it. I mean, if he feels like he can't go, you shouldn't go. I mean, football's not a sport for the meek. Like, if you physically feel like you can't do it anymore, you shouldn't, because you'll really get hurt. Like, you'll not just hurt for, after rehab, you'll be hurt like the rest of your life. So, I'm okay with his decision if he felt like he just can't go.
I'm good with the decision. Do you think it was made a little late, a little close to the season, leaving the Colts hanging a bit?
Yeah, and I think it's probably hard just because maybe you're trying to do everything you can so you don't have to make that decision, and you feel like, okay, maybe I just give this. I talked to my doctors. I'm rehabbing. Maybe I give this, a couple more weeks and see how I feel. Oh, well, I feel a tiny bit better, but not quite ready. Okay, maybe I give it a couple more weeks, and then by the time you know it, you're like, oh, damn, like we're already into preseason, and I just can't be confident, to be there. I think it would have been nice, but I don't know the situation. I don't know how his rehab was going. I don't know what the doctor conversations were going. We just hear what we've seen. I don't know how long the Colts have known potentially he might not be available or not ready. That wasn't reported, you know. Um, I don't know how sneak up on them this was. It looks like it was, though, because they haven't been throwing any new quarterbacks into the fold during the preseason. They just recently now looking at like Brock Osweiler to come in and try out and stuff. But it does look like they were blindsided because you didn't see any more quarterbacks
Right.
get invited to camp to start playing in the preseason and getting looks. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know his schedule of his rehab and his communication with the team. But yeah, for the team, if I'm his teammates, you're a little distraught. I mean, I kind of wish. So last year I made a bet in Las Vegas that the Colts wouldn't win over 7 games, and they did. I really wish I would have made that bet this season because I lost it last year, and I didn't think I would at the start of the season. So I think it's going to be a rough season for the Colts with this shocker right before the season starts.
So, just before the season starts, a couple more weeks. I'm gonna skip ahead here. Who do you think? I was just kind of curious today. It just kind of like one of those things that, what can I find out there? Who do you think has the best odds of winning? I mean, you'll probably know this one. Who do you think has the best odds of winning the Super Bowl this year via Vegas as of today?
Probably
Or
the
two?
Rams.
No, they're down at 4, 11 to
Really?
1. Yeah.
Rams. I'd say Rams, Patriots, Chiefs, Browns. All 4 of them are kind of in the mix.
Yeah, Patriots 7 to 1 have the best odds. Then the Chiefs, Saints, Rams, Eagles number 5.
Huh?
That's and
Well, they
Chargers
did
at
get to the
6.
NFC champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saints got to the championship 2 years in a row and just barely lost it both times. So I could see why they're there.
So I think more interesting, who do you think has the biggest odds of winning?
Oh, the worst team?
Yeah.
Who the worst team is? Who's the worst team in the NFL? When did you look at this morning?
1:00 this afternoon.
Because it might be the Colts now. Let's see. Let me run through it.
If you guys have any thoughts on it, put it in the comments of who you think. I'll wait. I'll wait a couple minutes. We'll talk about some others and put in who you think has the highest odds of winning the Super Bowl this year. But go ahead and take some guesses.
Could be the Cardinals. Could be my 49ers. Could be the Raiders. Could be the Giants. They have talent, but it could be the Lions.
Yeah, San Francisco's up there in the middle. Arizona, I was surprised they're this low. They're not the bottom of the barrel, and but I was surprised how low they actually were or are.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's second to bottom, but the worst or the highest odds for this year projected is the Miami Dolphins, 170 to 1.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. They don't have a lot of talent there, really. I just read a thing today saying they're even thinking about trading two of their better players, Kenny Stills and their running back, Kenyon Drake, to the Houston Texans for Clowney, the defensive
Clowney.
end, because
Mm-hmm.
he's not signed. And so that was something that was buzzing around, that Miami might make a trade with those two veterans, because there's two needs that the Texans need, is running back and receiver for Clowney, since he might be holding out or whatever. So he hasn't signed yet. So, yeah, Miami's not going to be very good. I mean, they're lucky that AFC East that has the Jets and the Bills, who are kind of wild cards. But yeah, they won't be very good.
It's funny you said, rumors or trades and all this kind of stuff. I had a friend of mine on Facebook today, post this meme that said, breaking, Ezekiel Elliott traded to the Raiders. and I saw that probably an hour before the show started, and everyone's saying fake, fake, fake. So I went online and looked, and he's still holding out, still not. There really seems to get worse each week. Nothing, no movement, no new offers from the Cowboys. So we'll see how serious he is to sit out. They are talking though that there may or should be some interest in maybe trying to trade him off, but I doubt they'll do that either. Let him sit at home.
Yeah, I saw Melvin Gordon might be getting a little closer to signing too, but who knows? We'll just see. I'll wait till week 1, see if they're in the uniform or not. But yeah, it's just sad when guys are sitting out that are players everyone likes to watch.
So why don't we move on into, scroll over, your play it through person of the week. You want to take that?
Yeah, I'm going old school today. Old school on the play it through person of the week. So my play it through person of the week is Robert Bleier, also known as Rocky Bleier. If you are a fan of the game, you know Rocky Bleier. He was a fullback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is now 73 years old. He was drafted in the 16th round, pick 417th pick in the 16th round in 1968. He was a player for Notre Dame. His junior year, they won the national championship. His senior year was a team captain at Notre Dame. Grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin. He played football for the Steelers. He was drafted in 68, and then he was drafted by the Army to go to Vietnam in May of 69. So imagine that today. I just got to be an NFL player. My dreams are coming true. There's a war. You get drafted. You have to go off to war after your rookie season, basically. So he left in May of 69 with the Army, went to Vietnam, 23 years old, and 3 months into his time over in Vietnam, he got shot in his left leg. He had grenade injury damage to his right leg, also lost part of his right foot. So he was sent back to the U.S., but while he was in the hospital in Japan, the legendary owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Art Rooney, sent him a message that said, "Team's not looking so good this summer. We really need you." And so that gave him kind of the spark to rehab and decide that he, despite his injury, wanted to try to come back and play football for the Steelers, and he did. So in 1970, he was healthy enough after he received a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star after being injured at war. He came back in 1970, played fullback for the Steelers, ended up winning 4 Super Bowl championships. He did rush for 1,000 yards one year from the fullback position, which is almost an obsolete position in the NFL today. Most teams don't even carry fullbacks anymore. They just use their tight end and move them back there when they need one, which is sad to me because I love fullbacks. I always have. I always will. Any offense that I run that I've coached, my fullback is super important. So it's sad for me to see his position phased out of the game. But so he came back. He played it through. He came back after being hurt in the war. And what he does now is he goes around and he speaks. So he goes around and talks about PTSD, how he deals with it. He also was followed this August. ESPN followed him back to Vietnam, and he went to the site where he was injured, where he was shot. And I guess he was very emotional, and he was so nervous he didn't eat, and he actually passed out for a little bit, for a short time.
Wow.
While he was there, and popped back up. And I guess he's just super high energy, super motivational. People like Mean Joe Green just say he's one of the most, amazing guys you'll ever meet. Positive, inspiring, great speaker. So he goes around and he talks about PTSD, and for the military, he talks, about a lot of nonprofit organizations. One of them that he supports is Veterans Guardian Angels Incorporated, and it's designed to help veterans with post-traumatic transitioning. So when they come back from the war and things like that, he helps organizations like this help veterans kind of get back into the real world, if you will, being civilians after they're no longer in the military. So he has a construction company also. He's still very vocal. You can find him on social media outlets if you type in his name. He also has a radio show in Pittsburgh. You probably find that online. It's a 104.7 FM WPGB. And so he is a great representative, old school representative of, he's still playing it through. He's 73. He hasn't played in the NFL for a long time, but all his experiences in life, they even made a made-for-TV movie about him in like 1980. Just a great guy to follow, very inspiring. And I thank him for all the work he does to support our troops and to help those with PTSD like him. I have family members that were in the military, and I want to thank all of them for being in the military and doing what they do. I met a young man this weekend who I hadn't met before, who is a U.S. Marine, and got to talk to him for a little while and thanked him for his service. And I would recommend everyone do that. I've been trying personally to do that more when I go out, when I see somebody that has that Vietnam hat on, that, gentlemen in their 70s. I make sure to say thank you for your service, because we're going to lose a whole generation of great people within like the next decade or so. A lot of them are going to be gone, and it just means so much to them for you just to say thank you. That's all they want. Most of them don't want to sit and chat with you for hours. If you just say thank you, they really, really appreciate it. So I recommend that. And so I would just like to say thank you one last time to all of those who have served and are serving. Thank you very much. And so Rocky Bleier is my Play It Through Person of the Week.
Another great choice. You just keep coming up with winner after winner each week. So transitioning on, I have some plays or players of the week, plays/players. I'm sure everybody has seen this, but this Carly Lloyd, and she at an Eagles practice, just kind of hanging out, visiting. Of course, she's a member of the women's national soccer team, and so she was out at practice, and so she had kicked some 40-yard field goals, and then she booted this one 55 yards, and look how straight down the middle. I mean, that was. She also attempted afterwards. After this one, she attempted one from 57, pushed it wide, and then just felt that she didn't want to take up their practice much longer, interrupt them. So, but she's actually fielded some calls. Her agent or manager had said that some teams have reached out to her, wouldn't name the teams, but said they wanted her to come out and kick in a preseason game. So
that'd be cool. She's a badass.
Yeah, good for her. I mean, great leg. I mean, hey, if a it doesn't matter. Whoever the best performer is, it gets the job. And if she could, work at the skill and kick a field goal consistently, and is the best person. But that was quite impressive. Still 55 yards out of anyone just walking out for practice. I mean, maybe she practices a lot in her off time and we just don't know about it. She's a closet field goal kicker at home or something. But that was some talent right there.
Yeah, I don't know if I can kick a 35-yard field goal if you said right now. So the Bears should look at her. The Bears are trying out everybody that can kick anything. So she should go try out with the Bears.
Give them my number. The next one, I saw this one on Facebook and had to get the video. Carlos Vela, just the footwork here. He's just toying with this player at the end, right here. It's like he almost just I just love the announcer. I just love. You'll see another replay of it, and right there at the end, it's just like that guy coming across. It was like he was almost waiting for him to line up, and then like right here, do. Oh, you ready? Okay. And I don't know. I just thought that was. I just thought that was a lot of fun to watch. I watched that quite a bit, and I don't watch a lot of soccer, but just the footwork. I mean, if every soccer player, every kid could learn to dribble like that, he just made a fool of a lot of people that were in front of him that should have been able to tackle that ball. But yeah,
going on this soccer stuff. I'm growing on you.
Yeah,
it's every weekend now. You're going to be holding scarves. You're going to have your favorite team. Oh yeah, it's coming.
Well, if it's you don't get a lot of plays like that though. Usually you get a lot of plays like that, and then the goalie runs out and picks the ball up and then kicks it 60 yards back down the field.
Yeah.
And you start over.
Soccer. There's subtle beauties in the game of soccer to appreciate.
This next play, going back to the Little League World Series and Caraco, this was a play. This was Caraco was at bat, and they are playing Venezuela. And just this play, I have to play this off of my Facebook video. Steal second. Oh, easy out, right? What just happened here? He saw that glove go down, and he did a little. He planted his cleat. Here you'll see it better. Planted his cleat and just said, "Whoop! Wait a minute, nope." But yeah. So, train those. Even the shortstop came over and said, "Hey, you got to keep that glove down. You got to keep that leather low." And if he keeps that glove down by the bag,
got to reach out and tag.
He's not. Yeah, he's just got to leave that glove down at the bag, and he'd have that out. But no, that was a great play. I think okay. So I've been an official. So watch the umpire. He sits on this call. I mean, it was an easy call. And then he sells it a couple times, which you should do on a call like that. But he waited on that. So that was, I'm going to give props to the umpire for waiting on that, waiting for the play to actually evolve, because that would have been an easy. Normally, you'd see a hand right there being raised. He never even flinched to raise his right arm to ring him. So good on him as well. All right. So those are had some plays of the week, just some things I found out there on the interweb and social media that kind of piqued my interest and got me looking a little bit more. What are we watching this weekend?
Oh, what we're watching this weekend. Let's start out with my English Premier League and get that over with for you. Of course, you're watching Liverpool. You're watching Liverpool play Burnley Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Get your bacon, toast, and your eggs ready for that. Liverpool won last week. Liverpool won. Tottenham lost to Newcastle, one of my top three teams, 1-0. And then Manchester City, they rocked their game. They won 3-1. So Liverpool is at top of the standings, just like I predicted. So let's see if they stay there all year long. So I'm watching Liverpool, of course, because they're the best team in the English Premier League. The next thing that I'm watching is we're getting closer. Doesn't seem like it, but there's only 30 games left in Major League Baseball.
Only
30 left until we get to the playoffs. Getting real close. But there are some good matchups this weekend. 2 in the National League, 2 in the American League. I would say the series to watch in the American League are the Yankees and the Yankees and the A's. So Yankees and the A's, and then Indians and the Devil Rays. A's, Devil Rays, and the Indians are all fighting for wild card spot in the AL. So those will be good games. And then the National League, the Phillies and Mets, who are fighting for a wild card, and also Cubs Brewers. Their Brewers really need to win some games against the Cubs because they're fighting for National League. So check your schedules for those. If they may be on the air. I didn't see where they were, but WNBA, that's coming down to the end. Los Angeles Sparks against the Las Vegas Aces. It's on NBA TV at 7:30 on Saturday. They're battling for third place. So right now they're 3-4. which is going to make a difference because, you get to that second round, you don't want to be 4 playing the 1. You'd rather be that 3 playing the 2 if that number 1 seed is real dominant. So could make a difference in the long run. Men's USA basketball. So they're gearing up for their kind of, World Cup for basketball. They lost.
Embarrassing.
Then lost to Australia. They beat them once and lost to them once. They did a 4-game kind of series. They played Canada and Spain, beat them easily. And Spain's a pretty good team, actually. They were number 2 ranked in the world, but they lost to Australia. First time we had lost a game in this World Cup exhibition thing, 13 years, 78 games.
Yeah.
78 games in the street. So it'll be really interesting to watch this team start the actual World Cup that starts Sunday. U.S. men play the Czech Republic in Shanghai. So that's on Sunday if you want to follow some men's basketball. Kyle Kuzma got an ankle injury and he left. De'Aaron Fox for the Kings, he left before it even started. This is not your NBA first team, all NBA guys. Okay, the dream team, this is not. So you should watch because these guys are going to earn it. If they win the championship, there's going to be some really close games. And obviously they can be beat. So it's a lot of younger guys. It's up-and-coming guys like Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And, it just – Miles Turner, you just watch. It should be good ball, and we're going to really have to play well to win.
They sat some of the better players in that game as well. To rest them, I don't know, but I'm so torn on that. It's like anytime you get a chance to put, have an opportunity to put on a jersey that says, USA on it. I'm a homer for the United States of America, a patriot. If they said, Chuck, come out here and just trip your way through something just because we need you for our country, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll make a fool of myself, but just to represent the country. So, but I get it, I get it to the NBA players. If they were to play, in the world games, it extends your season to where you almost don't even get a break. So if you're trying to heal an injury or something, in the off season, you just don't really get that opportunity because you're just training and playing ball.
Well, and there's so much that, but back in the day, only a handful of guys were a brand. Okay, Michael Jordan was a brand, Magic Johnson was a brand, Larry Bird, Dr. J, or whatever. Now there's like 40 guys that think they're a brand. I mean, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, making $40 million a year, wanting to win championships. They're not going out and twisting their ankle playing against the Czech Republic in Shanghai, China, and missing their whole NBA season, which is where all their endorsement money comes from, their shoe money, all of that stuff, their popularity, all their side stuff that they have going on now. I mean, they're not going to risk that to go play in the World Cup. Olympics, maybe the Olympics, you'll see some of the bigger names try to join that team, but not the World Cup. Like this isn't even it's not the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
So I can see why, why some of these guys are not playing for sure.
What's that leave us? We do have another week of football left. Football
tomorrow. All the last week of preseason football is tomorrow. So watch your team, check your local listings. There's a couple games on the NFL Network. I know the night game is the Chargers and the 49ers. I can't remember what the earlier game is. Can't remember. But NFL Network, they start at 4, so 4 p.m. Pacific time. And then the next game, 7 p.m. Pacific time, is the Charger-Niner game. But there is one at 4 also. Check your local listings, though, because they'll probably have your local team on some local channel. So I'm pretty sure we'll probably end up getting a Charger game and I think it's Charger-Seahawks. Or Charger game and the Ram game. But, if you want to see who's going to make your team, you want to see these guys busting their butts just to get on the roster so they can say they're on an NFL team. Watch it. Is it going to be the best football you ever watched? No, but you might see some really cool moments from some guys that didn't know if they were going to make the team or not. So for me, it's worth it. If you ever been in any sort of competitive anything where you're battling for a spot, you get it. So it's really just about, watching guys chase their dream and seeing some great successful moments. And hopefully we'll see some and I'll be able to remember what they are so we can share some with you next week before the start of the season.
And finally, some for me, some good college football this weekend.
Yeah, it is the start. It is the start of everybody. So all of the colleges, all the universities start this weekend. I have a few select games that I know I'm going to be watching. Depending where you are in the country, you might have some other matchups that you want to see, but this is what I'll be watching on Thursday. Number 1 ranked Clemson is going to be playing Georgia Tech at 5 p.m. on the ACC network. They're the number 1 team in the nation. I want to see the number 1 team in the nation. Why are they the best? I'm going to check it out. They're returning champions. They're stacked. They're going to be stacked every year because, their coach is an amazing recruiter now. They have a winning record recently, last 5 years. They've just been one of the dominant teams. So I'm going to watch the number 1 team in the nation.
Well, they're number 1 because they're playing Georgia Tech. I see your line here that you put in the notes, 36.5. That's how you become number 1.
How confident do you feel going to Vegas and putting money on a 36.5 point spread? Ooh, lolly. And then also on Thursday, just I think a good state rivalry, a solid matchup. A lot of the times you see these week 1 matchups and you have a powerhouse like Ohio State playing like Ohio College of, some team that barely fields a team. You're like, this college barely fields a football team, which is crazy. And they win 78-3 or something. But I like when the teams have these rivalries. So Thursday there's one, Utah and BYU. Okay, they're both pretty strong schools, good football backgrounds. They play tough brands of ball. And so I think Utah, BYU, it's on 7:15 Pacific time on ESPN. That's a good first in-state rival game that could be fairly competitive, even though Utah's ranked 14th in the country going in. But BYU is always a tough team. So that's Thursday.
But before you move on to Saturday, let me ask, will more people watch the Clemson Georgia Tech game or preseason NFL? Any given game, one thing.
I bet Clemson. Well, I think it would depend. I mean, it kind of depends in the NFL what team you're talking about, because you have your teams that have fans that will watch any game. They don't care. I mean, you have those teams that are really supported by a big area, like the Denver Broncos. I don't like them, but basically most of the Northwest, if you're not a Seahawks fan, you're a Bronco fan. I mean, Colorado, Utah, Montana, Idaho, everything in that area, a lot of Bronco fans, even like South Dakota, all the way that far. I mean, the Broncos are a huge chunk of that northern states, central North United States. So I think it just depends what team. Like, if I'm a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, no, I'm probably not watching
Clemson.
But if I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan or I'm a, Raiders fan, a Steelers fan, all these, Patriots fan, all these teams that have really great fans, Kansas City, Seattle, you're probably still watching, but these Tampa Bay Bucks, Jacksonville, Miami, who doesn't look to be very good, whose starters are like everyone's backups, you're probably not going to watch preseason for some of those teams. But I think people will watch Clemson just because, it's the number one ranked team. I want to check out, see who the best is. Why are they the best already? But
so tell us about Saturday.
Saturday for me, so there's a regional matchup. I've lived in Washington for a lot of years. I have a lot of friends that went to Eastern Washington. So I'll be watching Eastern Washington play against Washington. Eastern Washington's a 2A, so it's, Division II. But they're a good team. They've won the Division II national championship in recent years. So they'll put up a fight, and they do every year. They'll play a lot of these games. Eastern Washington will play Washington or Washington State or some other, big D1 school. And they usually stick with them through about 2.5, 3 quarters. and then the depth is just too much for them, and they get worn down, and then usually the Pac-12 team they're playing just takes off on them or something. But that's a regional one I'll watch just because I'm a Washington homer, and that's at noon on the Pac-12 network. Plus, Washington's ranked 13th, so they're close to top 10. I want to see how good they are in the Pac-12, which I follow very closely. The next one is another Pac-12 team, but they're playing a Big Ten team that I think will be a very even matchup, which is number 25 Stanford is playing Northwestern. That's 1 p.m. on Fox, and Stanford is only favored by 6.5 points. So less than a touchdown and an extra point, which I think is a very good matchup. Northwestern is a tougher team. They have been pretty good in the past few years, and I think they'll give Stanford really a fight on this first game. And I think that's a good line. I think it'll be close. But there's really only one game where I'm canceling out my schedule, and that is for the Oregon Ducks versus the Auburn Tigers game. Oregon is ranked 11th. Auburn's ranked 16th. They're playing in Dallas, Texas, neutral field, little bit closer to Georgia. But neutral field, Ducks travel well, especially to a place like Texas. So there should be plenty of the yellow and green in the stands. But that is at 4:30 Pacific time on ABC. Auburn is actually favored by 3.5 points, even though they're ranked lower. But they have a freshman quarterback going into the first game of his career playing in Jerry World against the Ducks, who it's going to be a shootout. The Ducks defense is slowly getting better, but it's their offense. They're going to have to score points. And in the past, so when Auburn beat us in the national championship game with Cam Newton, it was because their defensive line just dominated our offensive line. And when we lost to Ohio State, their defensive, both their lines, dominated our lines. So for Oregon to win, my key is the big boys up front on both sides of the ball have to play big boy ball, and they're going to be what determines a win or a loss this weekend in this week one huge game for both teams, because you follow college football, you know you're one and done. If you lose one game, now you got to climb out a ginormous hole because someone's going to be undefeated at the end of the year or only have one loss. So now you basically can't lose the rest of the season, and this isn't even a league game. So, huge game at the start of the season, and I'm kind of proud of both teams for putting this on their schedule.
Well, absolutely.
The guts to do it, because some teams won't do it. LSU will play Louisiana Tech, Louisiana State, Texas State,
high school.
Yeah. They don't put anyone on their schedule until it gets to their, league games. So I give a shout out to both teams for having this on their schedule and really stepping up to the challenge week one and knowing you have to be ready right now. We're not working on stuff. Better have done during the summer because it's go time right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I don't think there's anyone in the country that I mean it sucks for the Pac-12 because you play these games and you lose, and whether it's Oregon or whether it's Stanford, any of these marquee teams who could be anywhere in the top 10. Anywhere in the top 10 are playing these other teams that are equally matched right out of the gate. You lose one, you drop the rankings, and now, you're like you said, you're scratching your claw to fighting your way back to hopefully get to 5 or 4 if you were to win out. But that's just what the Pac-12 does. They're not afraid to play, but I think it hurts them. Obviously, in the long run, on when you're looking at a national championship, and so I'm very excited. You were talking about Auburn, and I'm sitting here getting anxiety just thinking, oh my God, we can't lose this game. We can't lose this game. Can't lose this game. So it's gonna be fun to watch. We'll definitely be watching that, and Oregon went out over Auburn.
That's right.
Gotta get my.
And then just the last thing to watch, obviously, is the Big Three championship game. It's on CBS. They have the third and fourth place game on first, so you'll find out who wins third place first. That starts at noon on CBS, and then following it, right after it, is the championship game, which is the Killer Threes against the Triplets. So check it out. It's the championship game. If you haven't watched it, just watch it this weekend because you're going to watch a team win a bunch of money. They're going to win a championship. And it's fun to watch any sport where someone's going to be the champion. I mean, watching 12-year-olds play baseball to see who the champion is. Like, anytime there's someone going to be a champion, I want to watch it. I want to see that joy. I want to see, that reaction of getting through a whole season and coming out on top. I don't care if it's table tennis. I want to see a championship match, no matter what it is. So check it out. Should be really great. Those guys are going to be going after it hard in that championship game to get that sack of money to share. So that's my last thing to watch this weekend for sure.
Well, my key thing is obviously that Oregon game, but you've enticed me on a couple of the other college games, and we have family visiting that has traveled further north than your place, and so that are sports fans. So one of them is a sports fan, so we'll definitely be watching sports, if not country and Western TV shows. No, I'm kidding. Love you, Jim. Love it.
I love Rocky Flyer play it through since he's a Steeler fan and watched Rocky Flyer in the 70s win those Super Bowls.
So, well, that's all I got on my list. Is that all on your list?
That's all I got.
All right, and the beer's getting low. Time to go inside and get another one. And all right, everyone, still working things out on the tech side. I'll be reaching out to our provider and see if there's anything we could do better so that we don't have these glitches. But hey, if you hung with us for almost this hour, thank you. We appreciate it. Please tell your friends. And as we continue to grow, we get a lot of views throughout the week. And if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, or if you have a play it through person, someone who's gone through adversity, whatever it is in life, and come out the other side, please put it in the comments or message us. Dave would love to do an expose on them. We'd even love to have him on the show. So anyone that you would think would be worthy, that you would like to showcase that other people could benefit and grow from and learn from, and see, the positive side to whatever it is in life, we would love to talk with them. Also, if you have any, and know of any sports organizations, companies, people that you would like to be on our show to talk about an event or a cause that they have, please leave something in the comments or reach out to us. We would love to invite them on the show. And so with that, hey, Dave, see you next Wednesday.
Cheers. Go Ducks.
All right. Cheers. Go Ducks. All right. Bye, everyone.